don't bite, I promise. Greetings, dears. All right, let's start with a heart tone. You good with that? Merging with each other, merging with the love you are, have been, and ever will be. Would you start it, Jane? Thank you, love. Doesn't that feel good? So what is the best thing that happened for you over the last few weeks, the last month?
It's hard to pick.
I quit my job.
Yeah, that's the answer. So, but a little more to that is that I was able to do it on my terms, and I was able to leave with love, and it took a lot of gold cords to many a person, but I feel really, really good about the completion that I made at that organization. So,
all right, everybody take just a moment and see Kathy in her best job ever. See it as a done, see her enjoying it, seeing her raking in the income. Good. Nice gratitude. Whoa.
Well, we were able to return to Scotland. That was such a gift. I go every year.
What was your favorite place?
It was hard to say. Someone's already asked me what the favorite part was. I like the Isle of Skye quite a bit. But returning to the Bud of Lewis in the July sunshine was a totally different experience than going in the blustery, wet fall weather that we did in 2004.
Wimp. The bluster just hardens you up. Separates the soft from the tough. Aye.
This might sound kind of weird, but actually one of the funnest, and I've been using the word funnest lately. One of the funnest times I've had this month, all of them have to do with Phoenix, all of them. But one of the funnest ones was volunteering to help paint the lobby and hallway and entryway. We had volunteers who came just ready to work but have fun at the same time, and so much joy was put into it and so much love, and just being a part of the team that Mary stepped forward and said, I'll lead this team. It was a real gift.
Aye.
And I feel the love in those walls, and I feel every time I come in here, I'm captivated with what we did and the love that's in it. And it was really cool.
Lead that revolution. One of the things that I always try to remind you is that particularly this building for you, but many things in life, are very much a sympathetic magic. Now, sympathetic magic, just in case you may have forgotten, is when one thing amplifies the other, which amplifies that first. They help each other in empowerment. And usually it shows up as something like you clean the windows and your vision in the world becomes better. Think for a moment about painting this building, preparing it, whatever is done to cover the 8,000 holes in the wall. The putting on of the paint itself, the working. What kind of sympathetic magic would that represent? When you're painting, what's it doing for you? Got an idea there? Wait, you and Carol are in the wrong seats.
We are? Would you like to speak?
No, just saying, usually that's Lilibeth right there.
Change.
Change happens, all right?
Well, the preparation to me would be what you would do in most things that you are going to do with consciousness. And it enables the finished work to have the very best quality it can have.
All right, so preparation would be one of those.
But the
As a sympathetic magic for, I'm hurrying this along, as a sympathetic magic for being prepared for the things you're going to be doing in your life and that finished product. The painting itself, what about that?
That is taking that preparation and utilizing it and putting it out for the vision that you have. Let's just say the vision was to beautify your life in some way, make it more attractive, make it be something that you
Good.
can enjoy more.
Good, yes, very good.
It could be representative of new beginnings, of
Sure.
renewal within your life.
Lovely, lovely. I know I saw another hand back there.
Okay, great. I was able to get up on a ladder and get all the cobwebs out of the ark, and that was really cool. Up in high places.
Well, maybe not for the spiders.
Well, yeah. But I had a good time. And they can have new beginnings too.
All right, well done, yes.
And I'm thinking, get the cobwebs out of my thinking.
Nice,
Clean
nice.
it up and ascend to new heights.
Lovely, lovely. Hi.
Me? I thought you were looking back there. You get to go out and paint the town. No, I'm just kidding.
I like that, though.
Yeah, but it seems like that at the beginning, we were just going to paint the walls, but in the preparation, you had to do the primer coat before you could see the holes underneath it.
Nice.
And it was only at that point that you could see that, and then you could do the final coat. So it's all symbolic of life and how that as you go along, you see what you need at the time.
And often because you are starting into it, and then you see what you need or what you needed. I like that. That's good. I'm going to go back now to what was the best thing that happened for you over the last month? A few more, Louise?
Well, I had a birthday, my 88th, and I was just so touched. All the cards I got, because this is an age when friends are falling away. And of course, as a Phoenix, they're all young, but still got friends out there who are close to my age, and it was just wonderful.
Nice, nice. It's always a highlight to find out how loved you are.
Dinners and lunches.
Aye.
Well, I found out that
the universe, I mean, the world has changed, the energy has changed so much, and I have changed so much that so many of my old tricks didn't work anymore. And so it was a very frustrating time, but I kept working at it to see how I could make it work.
Good.
And I think I'm coming on the other side of it, trying to understand and figure out and recalibrate. So it's been good.
So in all of that, would you say that one of those moments was the best of the last month?
Well, was when I spoke to you in a private session, of course, which turned around so many things. It felt like
I was not fishing for that. She gets no nickels for that advertisement.
it felt like everything was blurred. I was looking through a camera and I didn't know quite where to focus. And you just helped me just turn it just a little bit, and everything came into focus. And it's like amazing. I'm like, wow, that's magic. So yeah, that one moment brought it all together.
Good.
So thank you.
Good. Bunny.
I think the best thing that's happened to me in a while happened today. Tony and I have been doing some throwing away and house cleaning and trying to get rid of a lot of old stuff. And I came across the very first private session I ever had with you. And our tape recorder was not working properly, so I haven't gotten to listen to it. But I also found a private session that you had with Tony. The one and only. And so we're looking forward to listening to those. And I've been getting all kinds of little psychic messages for the past few weeks, and things growing in my yard and talking to me about, nature and all kinds of things. So lots of gifts. But.
Well, I think that you'll find when you listen to that session tape that I was saying the same thing in every subsequent one too. Because generally that's what I do. I just find different words to say the same thing, which is get going, get moving. You are magnificent, you are wonderful, you are so loved and so loving. Put that out there, because that's what you're here for. You'll see.
And in one of the tape cases, there was a note, and I opened up the note, not remembering it all, seeing it, and it said, "This tape didn't take." But on it, I had written my remembrance of the tape, and I thought, yeah, I could see why it didn't take. No known record of it.
No known record wanted of it. Hi.
Well, I had my job, I used to have a private office. We all had private offices, and the company decided to move to a new facility, which instead of having private offices, now we're at what's called a dog bone, where our team is sitting around the same table. And I grumbled and griped about it before it happened. And then when I got there, I found out it really doesn't suck too bad. I can see the other people, we can talk and communicate. And probably the highlight of it was I bought noise canceling headphones, and I can just completely zone out. And it doesn't matter that I don't have an office, because the air is actually better in this one. I can get stuff done if I need questions. The only thing is now they scare the bejesus out of me by coming over and tapping me on the shoulders, and I have no idea.
For you're in your own little world there, and suddenly somebody just pops up into it. Hey, interesting. Noise cancelling.
It cancels the out, yeah. So I can't hear anything besides what I'm having piped into my headset.
Does the firm have some of those? Yes. So it's not total oblivion.
Oh, these are pretty darn close.
Eh?
Yeah.
When you play music or something through them, it pretty well blocks out everything.
Nice. Can you have cancellation of other things? than just ambient noise?
Kathy's got job cancer.
That could be pretty handy. What would you cancel? Right. That's the world noise cancellation, isn't it? Love. It's called love, she said. Big month in front of you. So it's important to be sure that you allow yourself to remember the wonders and great things that have been a part of your life over the last few weeks. It's a very lovely time of year. You know that Lunasa is, I'm a little late for it, but about this time. And Lunasa is about what? First harvest. First harvest. The beginning of all good things. But it's also a time in which you're going to be able to figure out if you're going to make it through the winter. And I would say that that's something that many of you have been experiencing. The opportunity to have a lot of good things come in your path. Oh, look, the tomatoes have come in, and the zucchini is being prolific. But darn, what? The potatoes did not harvest.
Oh, no. That's tragic.
Are we going to have enough berries to preserve over the winter? And in that case, you've been able to see, is this what I want for the next part of my life? Is this what I want to be experiencing over the next few months? We talked about the importance of revolution. And that, in many ways, you are seeing revolution in this world in really big ways. And you're still seeing that, and you will continue to see that, and you are seeing it because one of the great aspects of energy that has been coming to you is that of you are ready for change. You are ready for political change. You are ready for governmental change. You are ready for monetary change. You are ready for what?
NRA. Weapons.
Weapon change. Right. You are ready to see change in the way weapons are handled. But you are also seeing personal change. And that personal change has very much to do with the energy that I spoke of from the solstice, which is very much neatly put up or shut up. And for many of you, that would be a revolution. The putting up or the shutting up or both. Now, just as a reminder, what do I mean by put up or shut up? Well, one thing is I tried not to say put out or shut up, which is what I wanted to say. Suzanne.
Get into action about what you are dissatisfied with or stop complaining about it.
All right, that's a way to look at it. All right.
Embedded in that message was find out what you really want. Find out what makes you happy, what you want to focus your attention on, and get on with it and do it and start taking steps to focus on that.
And I'm going to stop there because that was very much where I was going with it. Take action. Rather than just letting life happen to you. Figure out what you want and do something to get it. Are you signaling me for time already?
No, I had a comment about that.
All right.
A song just came out this, I think in July, by a real famous artist, and in the song he says over and over, walk it like you talk it, walk it like you talk it. And I love that that's getting out there. And I think that's what...
That's an excellent put up or shut up definition. I like it, sure. But when you're doing that, certain things start happening in your world. And that's another version of change. And that's what you're going to be seeing a lot of this month. And what I'm talking to you about tonight has to do with things that you're seeing, ideally in yourself, but certainly in your world. And once you know what it is you're looking at, what you can do with it. Because your relationships are changing right now. And if they're not, they should be. Because you have learned in your life to put up with a whole lot of things that are not really you. And when you change those relationships, what that means is, ideally, you are choosing to do something that you want to see continue because it represents you better than who you have been. So here is how I'm going to start this. Once upon a time, you were born. Now, you don't remember that. There are occasionally those who say, yes, I remember that, but you don't remember that. And you don't remember that for a very good reason. Birth is traumatic, not only for your mother, but it was traumatic for you as well. You were born, and then you started to become aware. First, you became aware of your surroundings. Wait, Samael, isn't that backwards? As a tiny child, don't you first become aware of yourself? Oh, look, hands. No, first you become aware of your surroundings, then you become aware of yourself. And that is what you do for the rest of your life. You look around you, you see what you like and emulate it. You see what you don't like and you throw a tantrum. That's how you learn. Every human has to learn themselves out of that, because that is the natural progression. You walk into the world and you say, don't want that. And you make a change, or not. And if you make a change, ideally, it's going to provide for you what you do want. But if it does not, you're going to have to look in at yourself. Now, you may think that an infant does not look at themselves, but the fact of it is, infants function on a survival mechanism. For the first many months of their life, it's all about surviving. It's feed me now. I'm uncomfortable, I'm itchy, my bottom hurts. Ooh, I did that nicely, didn't I? Bottom, what do they call it here? Hurts. Again, I'm hungry. Ooh, I'm sleepy. Survival is I-oriented. It's all about the developing ego. And at the early months, it's not even about fear. It's only when you get older and can think things through that survival is related to fear of not surviving. In the beginning, it is simply ego development or self-awareness development. So you've got this baby, you, hey baby, and you are learning your environment and you are learning your world. You are learning what you can do and what you cannot do, what you may have, what you may not have. It's all about learning. And even as an adult, when you stop learning, you're effectually dead. Life is always learning. So remember that. Never, ever stop being curious. Never, ever stop caring about how your brain works or it doesn't. Learn, grow, change. Nonetheless, the child begins to grow up and they move into an awareness of the parents as their saviors. They begin to become more social. They move out of the parents as their saviors to the world. What's interesting out there? Look, I can make friends. And then, as you know, around teenage time, the friends are the saviors and the parents definitely are not. Moving into adulthood, the parents become saviors again. And that doesn't always only have to do with grandchildren. Oh, you just saved my life. I've got to do this. You take care of them. It's that you recognize and appreciate what they went through with you. I'm not looking at anybody in particular now, but you know who you are. And they made it through, so you know you'll make it through as well. That child continues to grow, and somewhere in that process, there is an awakening into the spiritual self. Now, for some, that happens in a very young age. For many, it happens at a young age, but it kind of fades away. And that interest is renewed once the massive inflow of learning has not been accomplished but has been adapted to. Do you understand what I mean by that? You're no longer overwhelmed by the world and everybody in it and school and all you're having to learn and social graces, which some of you never learned. You are adapted to it. Your life has become enough of a routine. Granted, you're learning as you go, but it's enough of a routine that you can start thinking again about yourself. And whether or not you're happy in that routine. Now, some people never get out of that stage, and as adults, they fall into the, am I happy, am I not happy, what do I need, what am I doing wrong, what am I doing right, am I worthy, am I not worthy, constantly questioning themselves, which is understandable in this world, but particularly unhealthy. And it also is an example of not having fulfilled that spiritual potential at an earlier age, because that would keep you from eventually lashing out against yourself. So, you're looking at what's out there, how do I feel about it, what do I really want, or you're looking at what am I about, why am I here? You're going to look at yourself one of two ways, always. You're either going to be looking at, what do I need? What is it I don't have? Why am I dissatisfied? And life is going to help you change by your knowing what you don't want. Or you're going to be experiencing life as it's an adventure. I love this, even though it's a massive change. I love that, even though it's not what I'm used to. Yes. Ooh, there's the little guy. Less and less afraid of me. Oh, yes, come right up. Come right up, little one. Yes, and smell that crotch. Go right ahead. Yes, I'll smell yours next, all right? But I'm a lap dog.
Just bring out the best.
Where was I before dog came up? Smelling crotches. That was the place, wasn't it? No, it was not. The second is, thank you so much, all that you are surrounded with is exciting. It's good. It's a pleasure. It's joyful. You have everything you need, even if you are, as I told the group in Bolivia, sleeping on rocks. I really shook them up with that one. My bed's just fine, never mind. You're always going to be looking at things one of those two ways. And again, that's all about your spiritual nature. When it is being filled and you are functioning at your higher levels, you are in a place of peace, of joy, of laughter, of it's all good. I'm not saying that it's not challenging, but it's all good. The other side of that is your life is about the dark night of the soul. Everything is a test and I'm failing it. In which case, you start getting angry at the life around you. Think toddler. I'm learning my environment, and as I learn my environment, I know what I want, I know what I don't want. This is not what I want, therefore, scream. That child, and I will say child until you are 98, that child will then move into, if it is taking the path of spiritual fulfillment, is then going to move into taking a look at how the divine insinuates itself into your moment-by-moment experience. And that's the ideal direction, of course. And from that divine experience, eventually will come the acceptance that what is, all is perfect as it goes. Now, from there you lived happily ever after, because this was a once upon a time story. One of the things that I did not mention in much detail there was the relationships that you have in that process from birth to death. And relationships are a very vital expression of your human experience, a vital expression of your human experience. What you're going to be seeing in the next few weeks are those relationships being challenged. This is time for you to be learning, what do I really need, want in relationships? Are you getting what you want in the relationships you have? So now I'm kind of starting a new story here. But instead of you thinking about the life cycle from birth to death, I want you to think about a relationship cycle from birth to death. Relationships are the way you see yourself in the world. And you must never forget that. What you are experiencing is yourself in the world. One of the easiest ways that you see yourself are in those relationships that make you angry. Angry tends to be the first thing a child experiences in the world. I'm so hungry, you've got to feed me. Don't touch me, give me peace, me and what I need. Anger becomes this self-taught mechanism to fulfill your needs. And it's dangerous. Most children grow out of it. As they learn social conditioning, you don't behave that way in Macy's. Macy's? Macy's. You don't behave that way in your grandmother's house, whatever. Social conditioning, but also personal growth. You learn that this doesn't work, or maybe you learned it does work, and as a result it continues to be a means of self-expression even into adulthood. Anger is wonderful when you feel it in this world and you are capable of saying, all right, this is me. What is it I'm seeing? Remember, you are the center of your universe. This illusion, this dream is yours. And you very nicely peopled it with all these pretty people. Everything you see is being filtered through your own experience. When you've realized that anger doesn't work so well, the next phase that comes up in a relationship is judgment. Wait a minute, Samuel, wouldn't judgment come before anger? Nope. There is judgment before anger, indeed. But as a means of functioning in the world, it usually comes once one has seen anger isn't helpful. because they move into this works, this doesn't work. You work, you don't work. And it's very often an avoidance mechanism. It's the means by which you keep yourself in your own safe place so that you won't get angry, frustrated, irritated. Judgment can be a very good thing, as you know, yes? It also can be a devastating thing, particularly comparative judgment. That brings up all kinds of things you don't want or need. I am constantly amazed by the kinds of rings you have available. Do any of you here remember when it was just bring? That's all there was. Moving past anger and judgment, the child, or the adult, as the case may be, begins to look at seeing themselves through the eyes of others. This can be a very dangerous time. You see yourself through the eyes of others, and for many children, particularly between 7 and 14 and 14 and 21, so that 14-year time period, 7 to 21, you are learning that other people in your life matter. And you're learning how to treat them to get what you want. Do not ever fool yourself about that. You treat other people in the way you wish to be treated. That's not a maxim for happiness. It's a natural behavior. You think everybody thinks like you do, and therefore can do the same thing, or say the same way, or think the same way. It's a natural behavior amongst children, which makes it a learning time in which you begin to learn that we can all function together even though we think differently. Not everybody gets that. On the other end of the scale, however, is that you also have those people in your life that just click. You meet them for the first time, but you've known them forever. You have a bond that grabs your heart. And it might be sexual chemistry, and it might be genetic history, and it might be general magnetism bringing two people together, but it's that sense of awe and wonder that comes when you feel a deep connection with another. More often than not, that deep connection isn't about, oh, baby. It's about you have something I need. Because that's the best kind of connections you have in your life. The ones in which what you are able to do that I am not is going to help us be stronger. It gives you the opportunity to teach, me the opportunity to learn, and in the same way, there will be opportunities in which I teach you and you are learning, in which your experiences and what you have learned add to my experiences and what I have learned. We are creating a wholeness that might not have existed otherwise. And that wholeness, as I have said over and over and over, can be with the grocery clerk, or it can be with your intimate mate. It's a relationship. Quick aside, for free. You see? It's very easy in life to put aside anger and judgment and developing relationships with others and just pulling off to oneself and not being a part of the world. It's very easy to do that, and many do it, have done it, and continue it. Be careful with that. Because when you are not working to enrich relationships in your life, and let me say that again, when you are not working to enrich relationships in your life, it's because you have no sense of enrichment to give. Many of you know how if you are sick in bed for a while, you are weaker when you get up. The body begins to break down, it's not as strong, and so that is with friendships, with love in your life. You've got to keep it flowing, keep it going, to continually feed the cycle of having it come in, having it grow in. All right, that was just the aside. The next big leap, once one has started recognizing that out there are people that I can create a relationship with that will really feed me and really be good for me, and maybe I can really be good for them, is a move into a look at what kind of parenting you had. Now, many of the adults you know look back on their parenting and say, this is the reason for everything in my life that has gone wrong. This is why I am this way. This is why I do this or do that. But there really is a time in your life in which you do feel that way. But that's because as a spiritual being, what you're really doing is starting to look at your relationship with the divine feminine and the divine masculine. And as I have said again many times, your relationship with your parents. And that includes when your parents were not around, one or the other or both, because that still molded you in one way or another. Well, I was a single mother family. I did not have a father, but you still thought about, fantasized about. You still had part of your life built on that attachment. Unfortunately, in this society, and I mean unfortunately, in your society, your construct of God is big father figure sitting on a throne casting out judgments. Was that a signal or a comment? Signal. All right, thank you. I'm hurrying. Smites and smotes, yes. I want you to remember, here's another aside, that the smiting and smoting is the manipulation. I can make you fear getting out in the world if you fear punishment, if you fear eternal punishment, because the whooping your parents gave you only lasted a few days. The whooping that God will give you will last forever. And as a result of that, there is a lot of misplaced anger toward father figures in your life. All right, I'm not saying every one of your lives. I'm talking about hypothetical people in the world, never talking about you. Now you are ringing. That's another important statement popping up there. All right, everybody, take a minute and make sure your phone is off. Or as they often announce here, put on stun.
There's a lot of misplaced anger toward.
Right, I was just moving into the divine feminine at this point. So that anger is often toward the masculine, toward men, father figures, but there is also a certain amount of that toward women. Now, that female thing is often mother-oriented. Don't mother me. What do you think I am, a child? These references, they're treating me like a little kid. My boss is... The Divine Mother, which is compassion, the Divine Mother, which is mother, is the mother figure in your life. So how did you function with your mother figure? And that's going to speak to you of how you handle your emotional issues. No, I'm not saying that feminine energy is emotional. I am saying that that function of compassion and caring and loving as outward manifestations are very often expressed through the mother. Again, survival mechanisms, we can get into it another time. I'm wanting you to see that as that child grows, the version of what God and functioning as a loving being in the world have everything to do with how you connected with your parents. Some children do not get over that until they are adults. Some adults never get over that. But in a healthy growing situation, it's recognized that these people are not my ultimate authority. I am my ultimate authority, and that is healthy and good. Children tend to rebel. And you pretty much can look at any one person in rebellion and see that they are working through lifetime teachings of how should I present myself in the world. And what I mean by that is if you grew up with hippie parents, it's not at all unusual for your rebellion to work as a Senate aide for the Republicans or something like that, with your suit and your tie or a pantsuit and bag. Some people are constantly in that rebellion against those authority figures. How did you manage it as you were a child? Rhetorical. The next thing, remember, all of this is about what you're going to be seeing in the coming weeks, what you've been seeing over the last couple of weeks. The next thing that's going to show up for the growing child, who by now is very likely adult, is challenges, problems, difficulties. Yes, you thought as a child you had lots of challenges, problems, and difficulties. But once you got out on your own and out into the world, you learned that there's more. And they count a little more and go a little deeper. That not being able to pay your rent when your parents aren't there to give it to you takes on a whole new meaning when you're picking up your furniture off the end of the street. Challenges. And these challenges are going to frame you or claim you. Now, when I say that they might frame you, I mean they're going to become the means by which you define your life. And I hope that you define your life in a positive way, rather than, as many do when they face challenges, I'm not enough, I can't do this, I'm incapable of deserving and having. They are framed, boxed, instead of amplified and showing. Or claim. When your problems claim you, overwhelm, depression, and reversion back to anger, judgment, loss, frustration. But this is truly one of the best times of your life. Because it's these situations in which you really figure out what you really want in your life. When you come up against a wall, you're able to see how much you really want what's behind that wall. And you're going to be the person who just stands there and bangs their head against it and complains about how much their head hurts. or you're going to pull out the pinions and climb that wall. Every problem you have is a tiny death. And that means it's slowly chipping away at you, or everyone is an opportunity for rebirth and renewal. Challenges kill you or push you. But in every life, they're meant to show you more of yourself. It really is a test, those things that come up for you. And I don't mean test as in, oh, if you fail, it is that eternal punishment. It's not that kind of test. It is a test of what do you think of you. So take a quick moment and think about the challenges that have been in front of you. And what did you learn about yourself through that? When you move through the point where the challenges bring about avoidance or pain, and they are simply challenges and not the world on your shoulders, then there's one last thing you need to deal with. And remember, this has to do with relationships. Your relationships in the world, your relationship with yourself. And that is having to deal with the truest, best self you are. The magnificent, powerful being of light. The spiritual, loving, perfect one. Samael, not perfect. Because you've said repeatedly that if you were perfect, you wouldn't be of use here in the world. Which is still true. But perfect as in the mighty spirit that you are. Because there does come a point in every relationship in which you realize it's perfect for you now. That you are enough for you now. And maybe tomorrow will be different, but right now, I am everything I need. A lot of people spend their lives sabotaging that because it's the biggest statement you can make. Words and problems and all, I am yet perfect and whole and powerful and good. Some never come to the point that they are able to accept that about themselves. And in that case, they can never accept it about anyone else either. The way you see others in this world is a direct reflection of how you see yourself. Do you see others as perfect, whole, wonderful functions of light in this world with a word or two? Or do you see them otherwise? You're going to have the opportunity in these next few weeks to see what it is you feel, to see what it is you know about you. And is this meant to be a threat? Absolutely not. Is it meant to be something you should worry about and start a whole journal just for the next few weeks because it's going to be trying? Not at all. Because although everything I have pointed out can be roadblocks, challenges, difficulties, they can all be problems in the cycles of growth. And they are. Even right here, right now, they are. But they are also opportunities to recognize the love, feel it, live it, give it. They are opportunities to release all that you were. The child that only sought to satisfy itself, that expressed its world through anger and judgment. The quite young adult, I'm calling that preteens and teens, that's a quite young adult. Learning relationships with others, and sometimes struggling through that until the magic happens and they truly connect. As it continues to move on through understanding the masculine and the feminine, as it affects the world and as it expresses itself through the divine. The willingness to move through issues as an adult and come to the perfection of the only thing that matters, which is love. Not just doing the loving thing, but being the loving thing. No matter what, no matter why, no matter. I want to encourage you to be the adult. And not just the adult, but the perfect one. I will remind you that perfect is the spirit. The form has its bulldozy moments, but the spirit functioning through that form is perfect. Be perfect. And when you feel otherwise, when you see otherwise, when you experience otherwise, remind yourself, this is my dream. I can control it. This is showing me something about myself to grow from. And what myself needs is love. And give yourself that love. Don't indulge. Don't think that's all there is in the world. Ooh, take care of me, me, me. That's the baby. It's loving because love is the only thing that works. Enjoy these next few weeks. Enjoy them. And pay attention to what you see. And see it all as a mirror. It is all about you, just not you. Look in the mirror.